This program is brought to you by Pussy Magnets.
Put a midge on your friend with a pussy magnet.
Welcome, my lovely lumps. Or should I say lovely labs? I'm so thrilled to have you here in the Labia Lounge. We're going to yarn about all things sexuality, womanhood, relationships, intimacy, holistic health, and everything in between. Your legs. Ooh, can't help myself. Anyway, we're going to have vag loads of real chats with real people about real shit. So buckle up, you're about to receive the sex ed that you never had and have a bloody good laugh while you're at it. Before we dive in, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm recording this, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. It's an absolute privilege to be living and creating dope podcast content in Nam, and I pay respect to their elders past, present, and emerging. Now, if you're ready, let's flap and do this. Oh my God, is there such thing as too many vagina jokes in the one intro? Whatever, it's my podcast. I'm leaving it in.
Don't panic, you're not broken. Your sex education was a piece of shit. Get your flaps out and pull up a couch. It's the Labia Lounge.
Up, gang. So just a quick heads up that this is a pretty lengthy, informal one. It's a brand new format of episode that I'm calling Tub Talks, where I have a yarn with a pal in an outdoor fire bath. I'm actually quite nervous to release this chat, and I'm already feeling a preemptive vulnerability hangover from what I shared and the sort of edginess of some of what was talked about. I'm putting it out there in the hopes that my intuition is correct and assuming that you, my dear audience, are a safe space for this sort of exploration of ideas and experiences, and that you'll give me some grace and some loving feedback if there's anything you hear that you take issue with or feel that my guests or I could be educated on or could have done a better job of. And I will just forewarn you that the sound quality isn't the most polished. We had a few tech troubles and we lost some of the chat, but I did my best to edit it together so it's relatively cohesive. There are many very tangential deviations off the beaten track in this conversation, but I can guarantee you that if you stick around until the end, you'll be rewarded with hands down the most raw, unscripted and personal content that I've ever released in the 130 episodes of this podcast. So if you get that far and you're still here for all of it, I love you and I'm so grateful for your support.
Alrighty.
Stood on something sharp.
And yeah, don't neglect the foot washing tub. I might move that a bit closer.
Fuck, fine. That was like a slapstick kind of Three Stooges type. I walk backwards, bump into your bum and fall. How are you looking temp-wise?
Yeah, typically.
Oh, fuck, dude, the foot bathing thing is so cold.
Yeah.
Is it too hot?
Yep.
Ah, damn. I'm just going to try to get in. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think it's a jump in. Yeah.
Oh my god,
Jump in and viewer.
oh my god, dude, I don't know. That's pretty fucking hot. That feels like maybe not okay hot, like it's doing damage, like what do you call it? I'm blanching. You know?
Blanched like so many stalks of broccolini.
Yeah.
Whatever blanches your broccolini.
I love that. Alright, I think that's good.
That'll do.
You'll be pleased to know that I just went to the toilet before getting in because of your new rule that I'm not allowed to wee in the bath.
My new
and
austerity measures.
And not only did I empty my bladder so that you don't have to bathe in my urine, but I also plopped a nice clot. Nice little period clot
cool.
into the toilet. So we've gotten rid of some...
One less clot for us to endure.
Yeah, just like a little bit of uterine lining out of the way. And generally, like, I don't know, I tend to get... Oh, honestly, I don't bleed much. And then when I Like, I might just be sitting down for, like, hours, like, just working on my laptop or something, and then I'll stand up and go to the toilet, have a little deluge, and then that'll be that for the next couple of hours. So I've kind of just gotten, you know, my next couple of hours worth of bleeding out of the way. So it probably won't even happen in here.
We'll see how we go. Well timed.
Yeah.
Well timed deluge. How's that? I feel like that's a good temp.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I'm definitely sweating already, but that's, like, nice.
Yeah. It's detox.
It's fine. It's good for the pause.
Should we, hang on, I'll actually grab it.
Maybe even just to have a little something to wipe our hands on nearby, and then we can hit that fucking Jay Leno.
How do you go with mentioning that you smoke, like, weed smoking?
Oh, mate, honestly, I don't know. I felt really torn about it for ages now, and sometimes I drop it sort of, not like discreetly, but also not super openly, just in passing or whatever, because I'm, like, not fully... It's not that I'm not owning that and everything. I just feel like... I think, like, there's still so much judgment around it, and I don't want everyone to think that it's a stoner podcast and I'm just a fucking stoner. Because just the word stoner has, you know, those sort of connotations, and I kind of use it as a medicine, which also has connotations that I feel a little bit allergic to. But, no, I mean, I feel like now that it's legal and a lot of people have prescriptions and stuff, it should be absolutely fine to mention it, and I also want to encourage like-minded folk as my audience, and also not shy away from being as authentic as possible, because it is, like, the one platform that I'm not, you know, censored on, and that I don't need to be as careful and curate as much. So I kind of feel like I want to lean more towards just being exactly me. Mm-hmm. But I do feel a little bit of, like, like a bit of hesitance and a bit of, like, oh God, like, I'm going to be judged, but I don't know, is this my coming out episode where I admit that occasionally I like to have a jozzy, smoke a bit of weed?
I feel like there's got to be room for that, you know? Just having like a joint with a friend in a bathtub has got to be, like, that's not drug abuse.
No. And I think I've just got this, like, oh God, no, I'm coughing, this, like, it's just, I suppose, a bit of a hangover from the whole war on drugs thing and the stigma, and the fear of being categorised or pigeonholed, and, I don't know, people associating it with things that I don't want to be associated with or whatever, and therefore, you know, not being thought of as being intelligent enough to be credible as, like, a sexuality expert or whatever. But yeah, I think it's, like, at this point more important to me to just attract my tribe, you know, and just be fucking me, because, like, you can be hella smart and awesome and creative and all of that and driven and enjoy substances that are quite medicinal, and there's actually heaps of research around it now, so fuck off everyone that's, you know, yeah, I mean, I did that episode with Charlie and Shelley Ninja about MDMA, and we talked a little bit about cannabis there and psychedelics and things, and yeah, I mean, I don't want it to become, like, part of my brand necessarily, because, like, it's just a small part of, you know, my lifestyle and my beliefs, but I definitely really, really enjoy and back a kind of healthy, responsible use of these things. So I guess there we go. I guess it's that's it. Yeah, and I've mentioned it a couple of times. I'm not usually stoned when I do the podcast, but occasionally, like once with Hannah when they interviewed me about the sex party, we just had a little joint on a video call, and yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing is, like, if I had a big enough audience to actually have anyone subscribe to my Patreon or something, this would be the additional kind of VIP content that I'd probably just put on that platform. But given that I don't have the luxury of, you know, a whole bunch of fans that are hanging on for that extra bit of exclusive content, I'll probably just fucking whack it up, you know? I'm a bit of a fucking content slut. Gotta just...
Gotta be in this day and age.
Sometimes it's hard to get a weekly episode out, and so this will be an episode that I can, you know, snooze for another week until I get another guest on. So it's like, yeah, this will probably go on the old Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all that jazz.
Well, I'm proud to be a placeholder.
Yeah.
In lieu of someone more qualified and interesting.
Not at all what I meant, you dear thing. Nah, yeah, that is a little bit of how it goes though. Sometimes, like, I'm like, fuck, I don't have any content for this week. Oi, Hannah, do you want to like get on and have a chat with me? And it's like, it's never filler though. I feel like this is where a lot of the really fucking juicy shit kind of gets wheeled out, and maybe only a small percentage of my audience gets around that, but those that do will get it and will be like, yeah.
This is great content as far as I'm concerned.
Thanks. Yeah, well, speaking of great content, oh, dude, you just got your hands wet again. Where's the kale?
It's fine.
You could use the sponge that we're using as a wind guard on the microphone. The muffled sounds of you like drying off your wet fingers so that you can have another toke.
Just the power of Google when I was like,
Thanks, got out.
what, like, how to windproof.
Oh, you
Condenser
Googled
microphone.
that, yep.
I Googled it. Well, that wasn't exactly the suggestion. It just said like,
It inspired you to...
yeah, it's like
DIY.
you usually use like a tiny little sponge sock kind of thing.
Oh.
And I was like, sponge, huh? Well, we pulled this sponge out of the bin the other day, and we don't use those. We use the one that's on a stick. It's like a hollow plastic handle.
Yeah,
With
with
a
the
thing.
detergent in it, yeah. This is just your average rectangle of yellow foam with a green scour on the back of it. I actually favour those. That's what I use to wash my dishes.
I like to wash my dishes in incredibly hot water.
Okay, so hang on. I'm just going to pause this there because this is not interesting content and I want to get us back on track because we've only got an hour and a half before that thing dies. And I'm really sorry, there's no such thing as a bad idea, but let's get to the crux because you...
Wait, do you want to cue it up? Do you
Yeah.
want to cue it up as though with the start of the episode?
Yeah, right, go on. Hey, Labia losers. Welcome back to the lounge. I actually need to start doing my intro a bit differently because I'm getting really sick of it and it feels stale and forced when I do it now.
What if you just improv'd? What if you just riffed on what you might say?
Well, because currently I just feel like it's getting slightly... It's not close to this, but it gives me the flavour of, like, Carol Baskin that's like, hey, all you kitty cats. And I'm like, hey, all you labial legends, welcome back to the lounge. Let's not waste any more time workshopping the... let's not take the piss. I want to keep people engaged here. So basically, for all you listeners that are still with us after that very indulgent lead-in...
You're going to include all the lead-in then?
Yeah, fuck. Yeah.
Okay.
Go on. May as well. Yeah, so Toey, what's it?
That's usable.
Toey.
Just call me Toey.
What's the last name?
Toey Hanover.
Toey Hanover. All right, so Toey Hanover is your OnlyFans name, which is great. And Toey got in touch with me yesterday and was like, I've had a really, really full and crazy 24 hours, and I kind of want to like come and have a chat with you on the podcast about what's been going on for me, and I want to strike while the iron's hot and it's fresh. So like, do you want to record something? And I was like, yes, I'll be right over. And I don't know.
And I said, I'll heat up the bath.
Yeah. And cooked a fucking sick lamb roast, by the way. Thank you very much. It's so
pleasure.
nice to be cooked for. Yeah, so I have zero idea what Toey's about to tell me. I'm a little bit nervous about what it's going to be because all of a sudden it's got to be anonymous, and some of the stuff that has been shared on my podcast in the past is so fucking raw dog that if this is the thing that makes you want to be anonymous, I cannot fathom. I can't imagine what it's going to be about. So I'm waiting with bated breath.
In hindsight, I should have been anonymous the whole time. All that talk of like consuming my own jizz and like fucking pumpkins and stuff.
Oh my god, can I say, hey, go back and listen to the TMI Battle of the Exes episodes.
TMI, we love it. Said TMI, we love it.
If you want
Yeah.
to get some context. People will recognise your voice if they're hardcore fans. Yeah, alright,
Or
so...
if they're people who know you or I personally, which, like, how much of your listener base is that?
Not much. My friends don't even listen to my podcast, dude.
Oh, really? I think actually maybe more of my friends listen to your podcast than your
Maybe.
friends. I've got a bunch of friends who will like tell me they listen to your podcast.
Oh, that's fucking sick. Because honestly, like most of my friends have never even heard a single episode, you know. And I'm like, that's hard not to take personally. But I guess every cat and his dog has a podcast these days, and we're all saturated from too much content. And there's this thing that happens when, like, and you'd know this, I think we've even talked about this because we used to, like, be in bands together and stuff, and, like, so many of our friends are musos, and they'd, like, shoot you a song and be like, hey, I made this song, or here's my new EP, or, like, come to my gig, and, like, it's always, like, a pretty tricky position to be in when you just don't like their music. Or you go check it out, and you're like, oh, fuck, like, okay, I've got to, like, rack my brains for some really, like, positive feedback I can give them.
Despite not particularly enjoying it.
Yeah, like how can I still give authentic compliments? Because I actually just can't give an inauthentic compliment and pretend I like something when I don't. So I fully dance around. I'm not like, oh my God, that was amazing, I loved that, because that would not be authentic and true. But I'll always find a way to give them, like, really felt compliments, and that might even just be about, like, their energy or how passionate they are, or the lyrics, or, like, how I'm so proud of them for, like, you know, taking this step and, like, sharing their art. Yeah, like, if you're getting in the arena, fuck yes. Like, giving something a go, especially something as vulnerable as, like, putting out your art publicly. Yeah, I've always got positive things I can tell people about that. But I think, like, what I suspect is, like, some of my friends are like, oh, God, Freya's got a podcast. I'm, like, too scared to listen to it because it's going to be shit. Yeah.
It's almost like something I've been thinking for a while about, just, like, not troubling your friends with your shit that you're trying to get publicity for. Like, almost
it's
like,
tricky.
don't use your friends for publicity, or don't try, like...
Yeah, no, it's really tricky. It's a fine
really
line. Because, yeah, it is a good, like...
Obviously, the support is useful if they, like, share it around or whatever. But asking people for it, like... I feel, like, less and less okay about that.
I know, it's a tough one. But, yeah, so anyway, I'm going to exploit your life experiences for content on my podcast and lay it on me. Like, what have you been getting up to that's caused such a tiz? Do tell.
Well, last night I employed the services of a 59-year-old Vietnamese sex worker.
Wow! Okay. Did you plan that, or it just happened somehow?
It had been on my mind for a while.
Yeah.
Me and some friends had been talking about it in the context of, like how sex workers are viewed in society, like sex worker stigma, and this idea of you can't fully destigmatize sex workers without destigmatizing the people who employ them.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I guess just through talking about it in this like idealistic, predominantly male kind of 3 or 4 of us, kind of like, you could do that and it would be like, it'd probably be like quite safe for one. And like, and you know, it's
safer than a one night stand with a rando.
Yeah. And you know, do we feel bad, like we're kind of playing into some sort of industry we don't approve of or something? And it's like, well, that feels a little sex worker phobic.
Definitely.
It's like they're just a professional working in a little room somewhere off High Street. And yeah, so just sorry.
Yeah, so is this like, are we talking like massage parlour rub and tug, or like full service sex worker? Did you go to a brothel? What are we talking?
So so this conversation that I've been having with some friends was specifically about the kind of massage parlour rub and tug sort of situation. Yeah. And so yeah, I at this point I'd been up for about 20 hours because I'd been busy, and then I felt like I needed to have a bunch of quote unquote fun after having such a full day. So I went and saw. My housemate did a comedy thing. Oh yeah, it was really good. Cool, a great night.
So you were like on the town that night, and then at the end of the night,
I just kept hanging out, and I went to a pub and had a couple of beers and watched some of the presidential debate, and that was pretty disturbing.
Oh my god!
and then I walked past this like hole in the wall with one of those lurid LED open signs above it.
Yeah.
And I walked past it, and I was like, And I quickly tried to call a friend of mine who, you know, would be a good sort of consult for the matter. And
I can't believe you didn't call me. What the fuck? I guess I hadn't been involved in the conversation, so I get it. But like, you know, you can always call me when you're trying to decide whether to go see a sex worker or not. I would have been like, fuck yeah, dude. I'm always wondering about those signs.
you can just send
Like
me
you
in
can
as a
suspect.
probe.
Yeah.
Well, here I am.
Okay, great.
I probed. as a
And did you
woman.
have to specify what? Because from what I've heard, it's like you go in for a massage and then there's no talk of anything, and then at the end they offer a happy ending for more money or something like that. Or do you?
Well, that's what I wondered.
Yeah.
And I wondered about, like, just basically the etiquette.
Yeah.
And if it was like, if they don't suggest it or they give no kind of signal toward it, and the idea is that you're like,
supposed to
what
know.
about a wristy? Or
Yeah.
you're
Or
just
there's a
supposed to
code
know.
word.
There's a code. Yeah, there's some kind
Yeah.
of signal that I'm not aware of, or no signal at all, and you're just supposed to suggest it. And I was like, I don't want to like do that if someone's working and they're like a masseuse.
Oh
And-
yeah, you can't. That would just. Oh, imagine if they were just a regular masseuse and you've gone and made them feel fucking objectified and unsafe. Yeah, I get it, but I think there's like a general understanding that those places, like from what I've heard, and I don't know if it's all of them or whether it's only overseas. I've just heard a few different stories from men who like have gone in for a massage. Like it's classic trope. Like they think they're just getting a regular massage, and then at the end, the woman sort of like goes to start touching their penis and is quite like pushy about it almost, and is like wanting that extra. And then when the ones that have said no, it's like the masseuse has been a little bit pissed off because that's how they make the most of their money. And it's like, well, why are you coming into this clear this?
Are those tropes? Like,
Well, I've heard quite a few people sort of wheel out that kind of story. Yeah, yeah. I don't know though, because I haven't. I don't know if this is all just hearsay, you know. So yeah, like you walk in and like what
I walk
happens?
in and I'm talking to myself, and I'm like, not out loud.
Okay. Yep.
Talking to myself, and I'm like, yeah, I'll spend some money on a massage. Like, it's been a big few days of doing stuff. Like, even if it's not like a wristy situation, like
Yeah,
it's actually
still
so
great.
fun. Like, it would be great in so many ways if it wasn't as well. Like, so I was
Yeah.
just quite open to whatever.
Perfect. Really.
Yeah.
Win-win.
And so I went up, and I suppose the first signal in hindsight was that it was open quite late.
Yeah.
Must have been about midnight. And then when I got upstairs, this woman came out, and she was wearing this sort of flirty little number. I guess you'd call it lingerie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, okay.
Okay. Perfect.
really
well,
seeing
already
a
that's like
masseuse.
quite clear. Then that's pretty easy. Okay. Cool. Great.
I guess I was still just like, I was still maybe
Not
like
sure.
a little hyper conscious of like whether or not that was happening, and,
Yeah.
and if I wanted that too, it was just
True.
it was like, see how I feel, and I felt pretty good about it. And we went in, and she proceeded to give me like not a very good massage, and I was like, this is even more.
So this is a sign that this is this is not the main event here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I originally said like half an hour, and then a few minutes in I was really enjoying it, even though it wasn't like professional, you know. And I was like, I've got to think of an alias for them as well.
Maybe just say her.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you don't need a whole fake name. Also, like, are we talking like you get fully naked and it's an oil massage, or is it like a Thai massage, or?
Well, yeah. When I was going into the room, she was like, "Right, take everything off," and I was like, "Okay, I'm not going to assume she means my underwear too." And I got on the table, and after like a short while, she was like, "Can I take these off?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay, I guess that's the deal then." And it was like an oiled kind of situation.
And was it like really quality, or was she just trying to get it done as quickly as possible and get you out of there, or was it like a nice, lengthy, sort of drawn out?
It was a whole thing for me.
Sick.
It went on for like about 2 hours,
What?
and
What?
so it was a long
Are you kidding me?
moment.
You
for
went in
me.
for half an hour and it went on. Oh, you just saying it felt like 2 hours?
No, we were there for like 2 hours.
What?
Yeah,
Oh my god! How much did you pay for this? This is deluxe.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah, and And so I was sort of, you know, having like Thai massage in the past. There's definitely some sort of like grouping together people of Asian nationalities and kind of comparing them in this way. It's like, this woman's Asian, maybe she's Thai. And I've had these like incredible Thai massages, and thinking about the like what makes the way someone touches you in like in the massages that I have had, like these amazing massages from these like nimble, incredibly strong Thai women who just like prance around on your back.
I mean, they're known for it. They're amazing at it. They're surprisingly strong, and like fucking, I feel like in a lot of Asian cultures, massage is way more of a common thing that everyone just grows up doing for their family as well. So like everyone can massage is what I've heard anyway. I don't really know.
Yeah, well that sounds about right. Like, you know, it's like a cultural practice. It's like, I don't know, is it like how people from Canada are good hockey players?
Maybe, or like people that like sauna together and nudity ain't no thang in certain cultures versus like how I grew up, which that would have just been like, what the actual fuck. Yeah, I feel like it's, I think it's a thing. It feels like scarily like we're being racist or something, but like I think that I've spoken to a few people over in Thailand and Cambodia and stuff about this, because like I'm a masseuse and I've kind of asked them about it and stuff, and I think that's you know, it's not completely made up intel.
It's not just something you inferred.
Yeah, from some racist place. Like, anyway, carry on.
The Thai people are good at massage.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel that racist, actually.
I know, I think it's just I just am always hyper conscious of fucking accidentally, I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Making a slip up or something, I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, totally. You can just make them though. I feel like it's safe to make them, safer to make them than like.
Do you reckon? I think it's less and less and less safe.
Really?
Now with cancel culture and like PC
cancel
culture and people
cancel
being...
culture is cancelled.
Yeah, well, I think, but people are just a little bit more across it, and like it's luckily, like fortunately, it's less and less acceptable and normalized in mainstream society, which is great. There's a lot more like racial sensitivity awareness. So I think, and with all of that, like, I think a lot of us have just been discovering that there's things that were like, that we didn't even realise were coming from some internalized racism that, you know, we just grew up with, and like reflecting on it being like, oh, fuck. Like, I feel like that's a theme at the moment. I mean, at least I've had quite a few conversations with people around this, been doing like a racial sensitivity awareness course as part of one of my trainings. I had this amazing guest on my podcast, Milo Hartle, the other day, who does, her thing is like fat black queer activism and advocacy, and so we talked a lot about like internalized racism and like privilege. And anyway, fuck me, sorry, so many tangents. So tell me, like, give me a blow.
So in regards to her race, like at some point when we were talking, I asked her where she was from. She'd mentioned that she'd been in Australia for 2 months. And I asked her where she was from, and she was like, "Where do you think?" It was more flirtatious than actually.
Okay.
She was flirty. It was really fun. And she was like, "Where do you think?" Kind of daring me. And I'm like, "Are you Thai?" And she's like, "I'm Vietnamese." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And it was sort of, I don't know, just sort of like the instinct is to kind of apologize or something. But anyway.
I think it's frowned on. Like, I think a lot of people don't love it if you ask them where they're from. We did talk about that recently as well.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, you know, okay, yeah, fair enough.
But
like,
given that she'd said she's just come from somewhere 2 months ago, like, it's not, yeah. But I think like, I've tried to, like, you know, be conscious of phrasing it just differently, like.
Oh, well, yeah, totally. It's all in the delivery and the context, you know. And I suppose that was my asking was my judgment at the time, and it didn't seem to have any sort of negative effects. So, like, to be clear, it was an overwhelmingly positive experience.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so she was from Vietnam, and she was like, and I was like, I might have said sorry, I don't know, I might have just signalled like, sorry for getting that wrong or something. And she was like, no, like I've been in Thailand recently and Thai people will just speak Thai to me, like Thai people think I'm Thai.
Yeah.
And anyway, I feel like when this sort of dynamic, I first sort of felt like there was this dynamic, was when she'd been massaging me for a while, and I was speaking to her for the first time since I like spoke to her outside and then came in. And I was like, could we make it 45 minutes instead? But when I spoke, she leant right in, like she came right in a way that, like, I guess it wasn't something I was used to from like professional kind of.
Yeah, it was a little bit more intimate.
Yeah, it's more intimate.
Yeah.
And I could like smell her and.
Yeah, nice.
And I think by the time I bumped it up to an hour, I think she was sort of like laughing, and then like we laughed a lot. We had a few massive laughs. She'd asked me to turn over, and she started like, not very gently, kind of like stroking at my like scrotum and dick, and she became a little bit, maybe a little business-like. She was kind of like, she was sort of like, all right, come on, like, let's go, sort of thing. And I was like, oh, like, and I explained to her, and she understood as well. Like the language barrier, we worked with that really well. I think I explained to her how when I'm with someone for the first time, usually it's not a whole lot of action. Like it's still nice, I'm still enjoying myself, but there's not a whole lot of action.
Like you can't fully relax and get an erection super reliably. I mean, yeah, totally.
And and then she was like, and I've tussled with this a little bit over the last couple of days since saying we should do this, where anything I've told anyone about, because I told those friends I mentioned before about, who were all talking about how doing it would probably be great and like fine and like a good time. So I told all of them. Yeah. With like a 23-minute voice memo.
Oh, love it.
And they were all like, "That's awesome," and people were feeling pretty keen to give it a go.
Sick.
Anyway, back to the story. Where were we?
She leaned in, you could smell her, you guys had a bunch of laughs, and you asked her to slow down a little bit.
Asked her to slow down a little bit, and then what I tussled with was that I'd been retelling this, so far I've like kind of impersonated her voice in a way that I don't think is tasteless. I don't think it's racist. It feels like actually the best way to honour her.
Alright, great, go for it.
So she was like, "You want me to take off?" And sort of gesturing at her thing that she was wearing.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, can I take it off?" And she was like, "Yeah." And so like I sat on the edge of the massage table, and she was facing the same direction as me, like in front of me, and I like pulled her in. And just like, really enjoyed myself taking this thing off, like slip the kind of straps off the shoulders, and just really took my pleasure.
Yeah, savoured it.
Yeah, it was really lovely, and she, I don't know, I guess she's a professional. Well, she's a sex worker. Like I don't know what maybe if her body language is kind of like a mirage that she's conjuring for my benefit.
Yeah, I'm curious as well, because like with this sort of work, like there's often kind of boundaries or groundwork, like with a lot of people that do erotic massage or lingam massage or happy endings and stuff, like often, at least in the fucking neo tantra scene, I'm not too sure about these sort of massage parlors, but there's a real, and with strippers and things, there's a real like one-way touch rule that's often, they are touching you, but you're not allowed to touch them, or like take off their clothes and you'll be naked but they'll have underwear on, and different people have different kind of boundaries and what they're okay with. So I'm like so curious about whether in these places you need to like verbally navigate that and like pay more or ask for consent, or like, because I'd just be so afraid of like doing something that made someone feel unsafe or like it was it was crossing a boundary for them.
Mm.
But I suppose it sounds like you felt pretty confident and comfortable that it was all okay.
Well, and that I asked her if I could do that, and had no intention of doing it if she didn't want me to.
Yeah, exactly.
And she said, yeah.
You'd probably be like such a gentlemanly customer compared to like heaps of people that she does get as well. Like she was probably so like refreshed by your like gentle energy.
She said she was.
Yeah.
So that was very gratifying. Yeah, like when I was lying on my stomach, she slapped my ass and she was like, "That's very good." And we like praised my ass, and I was like, I told her I was glad she liked it. Then when I rolled over and she was sort of like playfully kind of somewhere between a pat and a slap on the cheek. She was like, "You're a very handsome boy." And I was like, "You're beautiful. You're so beautiful." Because she was so beautiful. She was so fucking beautiful. And I think around that point, she might have asked me, I can't remember how it came up, but she might have asked me how old I think she is. Mm-hmm. And now it's like my general kind of protocol with that sort of thing. Go low. Mm-hmm. But I was a bit drunk, so I probably went too low.
Oh, God.
I was like, I don't know.
So low that it's ingenuous and she can tell. What did you say?
Yes, basically. Yeah, you really gotta fucking like.
Yeah, you gotta nail that.
You gotta actually know exactly how old she is, and then just say like 2 or 3 years younger than that. That's like.
Anyway, so yeah.
So I said 30, and she was like, "No, older," and I was like, "What, 38?" And she was like, "I'm 49." And I was just like in genuine disbelief, which might have been, if I was trying to compliment her, it might have been the best compliment I could pay her.
Yeah, true.
No, that might have been before. I think it was before I undressed her.
Doesn't matter.
No, well, it does.
Okay.
Well, okay, maybe it doesn't matter. It matters to me. It's all.
All right,
it's all like, so important to me.
Oh God. I mean, you got to always keep the narrative in mind and the engagement. I get it. Timeline's not always super important with minor details like that, but you be the judge. Just be conscious of pontificating too much.
I use my discretion.
Thank you. Well, use it with me in mind and my listeners in mind.
They're loving it.
Mate, I was literally, this is like, oh my God. I don't want to, and I'm guilty of doing it too. Look, I'm going off on a massive tangent right now, but it's like amusing to me, so I'm fucking doing it. But literally today I was sending voices to Will and I was like apologising about how lengthy they were. And he was like, dude, it's so fine because you talk pretty fast and it's always engaging. I've got friends that I have to play it on 1.5, sometimes even 2 speed.
Yeah, me too.
Because they talk so slow and they pause so long. And I was like, dude, I actually only just realised I could do this and started doing it with because he talks so slowly and some of his pauses are like he's forgotten I'm even there. So anyway, that's just a loving anecdote about why I'm getting on your tits right now about, hurrying it along.
Please try to remember to only refer to me as Toey.
Sorry. Did I say your name?
I think.
I'll bleep
maybe.
it. I can edit this shit out.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally. I thought so when you mentioned Will.
I think that's fine, whatever. He'd be stoked to make a cameo appearance if he ever fucking listens to my podcast, which, like I was saying earlier, most people don't.
Cool.
If I get a call from him in like a little while, then yeah. Anyway.
Well, you're gonna want to tell him about this one, aren't you?
Yeah, probably because like your shit's always so good. I reckon it'd be up his alley. All right.
That shit's always so good. Thank you.
It is. It's iconic. It's like it's my favourite fucking content.
To you, it's good. It's good for me to live. I don't know if someone else hearing this. I'm just glad.
Again, a very niche few, but they'll really appreciate it.
Okay. Cool.
Get in touch with us if you are still with us. Oh my God.
If you're still here, should send them some merch.
Yeah. Go on. Fuck, if that's what it takes to get a bloody listener to get in touch with me, honestly.
Get in touch. And
sometimes I feel like I'm just talking out into the vacuum.
What do you get?
What? I don't know, like a... Fuck, what have I got? Because I've got to order it. I don't have any stock. I have to order them because it's
Give him a bum bag.
I'll give him a mug or something. I'll find something.
You're gonna re-gift.
No, like if I've got Labia Lounge mugs already,
Oh, okay, cool.
so I can actually just post it straight out. Otherwise, it takes like 2 months to get here from the States.
Okay, fuck that. Yeah. So, shall I continue?
Yeah.
So I'd like taken this thing off, like I'd unzipped this thing from the back, and I was like, I wanted to pick her up. It's like an instinct I have a lot, is to like pick up people. I wanted to pick her up.
Excuse me.
I sort of like I was like holding her, and I sort of squeezed her a little bit, and she said she liked that, and she wanted to, like,
Okay.
doing some more of that, and I picked her up, and she really liked that. She liked the
Okay.
She liked that.
Okay.
I like that too.
All right, come on.
Anyway, I turned her around and like revealed her bosoms, and
That's something you only call old lady titties.
she's 49.
Oh my god. Okay.
But I mean, like, here's the thing: they were like in a certain beauty paradigm or a certain beauty ideal held by some people, and like sometimes me, though not all the time, because my titty beauty standards are fairly diverse.
Yeah, fluctuates.
They're selective, you know, I suppose.
Okay.
Anyway,
I'm really nervous about. I'm just like, oh god, we're always just right on the edge of. I
feel like I just like I'm not going to run into anyone who's got a problem, who's listened to this. They're not going to fucking dox me. They're not going to show up. Like I don't.
No,
I don't
I'm
care.
more just like, because I don't know, because as a woman, anything that even errs slightly close to like objectification or talking too much about, you know, physical attributes as opposed to more meaning, anyway.
No,
It's
totally.
It's kind of like
Yeah. But
pushing at my feminist.
Of course. I feel like it's important to understand that it was not at the expense of seeing her as a person.
Yeah, well, I know this about you, but I'm just like, how is this going to come across?
Well, I feel like it'll come up in the story when I tell you more.
Yeah, great. Okay. Spit it out then. Maybe then I'll stop interrupting you.
Okay. No. Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you. Just shut up. And if the longer you stay quiet, the quicker I can rip through it.
All right. No more heckling.
No, but also feel free to join in. But you just have to understand what's more important to you.
I know.
Saying your
Okay.
piece or getting it done. You know, you decide. I'll just talk when it's my turn.
All right. Again, discernment about how many details and how much to.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so she had like really, really wonderful boobs. They were big and full. I'm not like some sort of big tit guy, you know. Like I'm not. It's not. You know, I like a C cup, a B cup. You know, those things are nice to me. It's usually about the nipple for me.
All right, I just can't. I'm sorry, but this is triggering all of my like breast self-conscious trauma from back in the day, and I just don't think it will be helpful for people unless people's boobs fit into this category.
No, but it's not like that. It's just but everyone, including you have your fucking tastes.
Totally.
Hey, baby babes. Sorry to interrupt. I just had to pop my head into the lounge here and mention another virtual lounge that I'd love you to get around. It's the Labia Lounge Facebook group that I've created for listeners of the poddy to mingle in. There you'll find extra bits and bobs like freebies, behind the scenes, or discounts for offerings from guests who have been interviewed on the podcast. There'll also be, hopefully, inspiring, thought-provoking conversations and support from a community of labial legends like yourself. My vision for this is that it becomes a really supportive, educational and hilarious resource for you to have more access to me and a safe space to ask questions you can't ask anywhere else. So head over to the links in the show notes or look up the Labia Lounge group in Facebook and I'll see you in there. And now, back to the episode.
The point is that everyone has their ideas.
I know, but I just don't like it when my ideals align with like conventional beauty standards because then I feel like a cunt and less of a feminist.
Oh, did you think I was describing you? I was basically describing...
What?
You've got smaller boobs. What do you got, like C cups? They're not
Oh my
they're
god,
small.
like fucking double A, mate. I barely have any breasts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What do I know about titty sizes, I suppose?
Anyway, I don't know. I just didn't feel super comfortable with like describing this woman's boobs in super great detail
Okay.
or whatever. Yeah.
But I
don't know.
hadn't. All I'd said is that they were big at this point.
I don't know. Is it an important detail to the story though?
I guess it depends, like, what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I guess I don't know yet, and that's why, because I don't know where you're
I'm
going.
just trying to tell you about my experience.
All right, carry on,
you
carry
know
on.
what? It's actually not that important.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I fucking thought. Because sometimes you just, yeah. Anyway, this is just. I'm just trying to rein it in.
Okay, yeah. No, totally. Because I'm just sort of trying to give this like my exact perception. I'll give you the edit. Director's cut.
Yeah, just because if I'm a woman
not
sitting
director's cut.
here.
That will be theatrical cut.
If I'm like a woman sitting here and I know you really well, and I'm still feeling a bit like, ugh, this feels yuck to hear a man describing this like physical attribute on a woman, especially who's a sex worker. I don't know. It's just like maybe that's some fucking sexual shame that I've still got hiding out in some corners or something. But if I'm feeling that way, then I'm just like worried that maybe some listeners won't appreciate it or will feel a bit yucky about it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please give us feedback, people. I'm just going to fucking publish all of this because I feel like it's as authentic as it gets, and it's also like the kind of interesting shit I like to think about and pull apart. And often I'm not sure if I'm super in tune with how other people feel about stuff, but
Yeah. And I guess, like probably neither am I, because I thought that was totally fine to say, but it's like, what do I know?
Yeah, it doesn't feel great, especially as someone who has given erotic massages to men and felt incredibly objectified and had my boundaries crossed and pushed and felt still feel so much rage at men and yeah.
Yeah, totally. different for me.
Totally.
Different from my perspective, and that's totally.
That's real. That's real. Yeah. Okay. So how was
Makes
the
it
actual
sad.
dick rub like?
You keep rushing me. I'm not going to talk about titties, but I'm going to talk about other things.
Okay, all right. Go on, I'll shut up.
So, cutting to just after when I told her that, like, I don't always get hard the first time I'm with someone, she was like, okay, and she was massaging my legs, and she was like, don't look at me. And I was like, oh, okay. And she was sort of, something seemed playful about it. I was like, okay. And I was like, oh, sorry. And I looked away. She's like, no, not you, him. And she like flops my dick over so it's pointing away from her. And
I love her. This is awesome.
my God. And I just like started chuckling, and then I started giggling, and then I just started laughing hysterically. And she was cacking herself to this mischief.
Oh my
and we
God.
just laughed for a really long time. And
Wonder if she pulls that move on everyone. Feels like such great, like, opportunistic humour, but maybe it's a move to help you feel more at ease.
well, the thing is that around this point, I'm thinking like we have chemistry, and we like looked at each other, and with this like sort of fondness or kind of understanding, and we were just like, I'm having a great time.
Oh.
And she was having a great time, and like
I love this.
and then things kind of were like, she had like hands on me, was sort of massaging me, but like we were talking, and when I was saying things she was massaging me, and when she was talking she could sort of stop. It was like just like hanging out with your friend, vaguely massaging.
Yeah, cool.
And we just started talking about things, and talking about her name, and talking about her 4 kids, and her showing me pictures of her kids.
Aww.
Lovely looking kids. And and about how long she'd been in Australia, and her circumstances and what she did back in Vietnam, and just like various other things. And we were just like laughing a lot and stuff. And then she was like, you want a shock? And I was like, shock? What do you mean? She's like, shock. And I was like, oh, you mean suck? And she's like, yeah. And she was like, okay. And she like fussed around for a second. She like pulled out a condom and sort of gave me this look that I feel like conveyed so much, that was sort of like,
You put it on?
no, we've got to use a condom. Like, it was sort of this
gotcha.
sort of like, condom, like almost semi-apologetic,
Yep,
but
yep,
recognizing
yep, yep.
professional standards. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and it was like, oh yeah, okay, totally. Putting a condom on a flaccid penis, like I haven't really done that a whole lot.
True.
But, and so she put it on, and I was just like flopped there in this, like, you know, I was still a little bit buzzed from drinking and pretty relaxed from the massage, and just like feeling like I really want this, like what's about to happen, I really want this. And she proceeded to give me like a pretty like vigorous, not particularly sensual, just like the massage, like not particularly sensual, but still, you know, I guess just like her touch, you know, kind of vigorously sort of bobbing her head on my flaccid dick, and then I started like touching her boobs, and gradually managing to achieve an erection. And then she took the condom off and put a bunch of oil in her hand and was like J-ing me O. And I was like
J-ing me O. Jerking me off. Great.
And I had like one nipple in my mouth that I was just like latched onto like a suckling babe, and like the other titty in my hand, and like riding this real fine precipice of an orgasm, like a sneeze on the kind of just that side of reach, and just with this like focus and release, and kind of like, you know, I think I'd jacked off earlier that day, and under the best circumstances with someone new, things aren't usually that happening. But anyway, with a lot of focus, and at some point her suggesting that I like get on with it, which was pretty funny. It was sort of cold compared to like our earlier interaction. She was sort of like, I can't remember what she said exactly, but she was more or less like, you know, it's no fun for anyone if it goes on too long, sort of thing. And I was like, with like tit in my mouth.
Oh my god,
and,
she's hustling you.
And I was like, when I come, like, be really gentle. And she was like, yeah. And then then I came, and she was really gentle. And I was just like on the tit, like the tit was like this life-giving thing. And I like
suckling kitten.
And I like came really hard, and I was like really vocal too, like around the tit. And it was a really, it was a good orgasm. I really enjoyed it. And then I just sort of flopped there, and she like produced like, I don't know, like moist towelettes or whatever, and sort of like cleaned jizz off her hands and off me. And then eventually I sat up, and we just like got to talking. She'd asked me like during the massage, like I think around the time where she was telling me I was handsome. She was like, "You have a girlfriend?" And I'm like, nah. She's like, "Why you don't have a girlfriend?" I'm like, it was sort of hard, like, you know, hard to explain that, but we sort of got into that. I like vaguely explained kind of avoidant things to her, and it was like, I feel afraid that I'm going to hurt people, and I'm going to hurt myself, or whatever, however I communicated it. And she was like, she was telling me in broken English that, you know, I feel like maybe like encapsulated the whole point, like more kind of anyway, she was like, you can't be afraid of that. It can't be your, like, you know, you've got to be organic, and you've just got to kind of follow your intuition, basically. And there was this undertone that had come into things, which was that it felt like on some level, like maybe physically and psychologically or something.
Bit maternal. This feels like motherly advice vibes now.
No.
Okay, sorry, that's where I thought you were going.
No. Well, I mean, my mum...
Not anything to do with your mum, just the way that she's, you know, offering this kind of like advice, and I don't know. Anyway, carry on.
Well, what I was going to say was that it felt like we were falling in love.
Oh, wow.
And she, there was a few things that she said that I'm not sure how much she was joking, and it might have been the point where the language barrier kind of overtook us, and I didn't quite know what she meant. But she was like, she was talking about her and I, and how natural it was to be together and spend time together, and was sort of saying how like that's kind of what it's about, sort of thing, in a way that seemed ambiguous, and that it was like, was she suggesting that the relationship that her and I were having was meaningful, and that we should, and that having this kind of relationship is important, or something. I didn't really know what she meant. And then what's really pickled my brain is that she was then saying like, I can't remember how, she was like, I want another daughter. You give me a baby, I'll go back to Vietnam and raise this baby. We'd have a beautiful daughter.
Like raise it with you, or she just wants your semen? She
seemed to be suggesting that I donate a
She's already
biological
got 4
specimen.
kids. Wow, that's fucking loose. I can't imagine having 4 kids and still wanting another child. So what'd you say to that?
I said, next time.
I mean, maybe she'll keep that condom in the jizz. No, I'm only oh wait, no, it wasn't in the condom. She wiped it off you. Anyway, I'm sure she wouldn't do that.
She could ring out those things, and you know what? If she did that, then
Power to her.
Power to her.
Fuck yeah.
She can have it.
If
yeah,
she wants the
fucking
sperm that bad,
good.
great. But like, wow. Okay, so I wonder. I don't know. Like, do you think she was just kind of making a joke, or like she says this to everyone, or there was a genuine? This is really tricky because there's a language barrier, and then there's also that she's a stranger to you, and then there's also that you're paying her, so there's this power dynamic. So there's so many things at play that like get in the way of being able to properly gauge what's really going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's also probably like, I mean, I don't know about her, but definitely sex workers, sometimes, you know, they're really masterful at giving the girlfriend experience, or like making you feel those feelings of oxytocin and, you know, like love.
Well, see, the thing is that she was not a master. She wasn't a sex worker back in Vietnam.
Yeah.
She was a teacher. She'd been here for 2 months. Like her being in Melbourne had been facilitated by the person who like runs the place that she's working at, and yeah, she wasn't.
She's only been doing it for 2 months.
Well, in theory, yeah, that's what
Right.
I surmise.
And just to make some quick cash. Okay, wow, this is so fascinating.
Oh.
So then what?
And it was around that time that I was sort of starting to flag. I mean, I suppose we were reaching the natural conclusion. Mm-hmm. We hung out for a long time after I came. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of, for me, yeah, like that late at night, after drinking that much, after at that point having been awake for about 22 hours, and having just blown a nut.
Wow, so were you falling in love with her too then?
Yeah, I would say that I loved her, and falling in love, like, I don't know what, you know.
Yeah.
But there was love and sexual attraction. The combination of those two things is something, you know.
Did you talk about seeing each other again, or you going back there, or like?
We didn't lock in plans or anything, but, you know, aside from me saying, next time I come, I'll impregnate you. We didn't make any plans.
Okay, and then how much did it cost? Like, did she charge you for all that time, or was it obvious that she was just enjoying herself? And do you discuss price first? Like, how do you know how much it's going to be?
We didn't talk about money first, but there was a board that said what things cost. Not receives, obviously, but it was like half hour, 45 minutes, and an hour.
Okay, yeah.
And an hour was like 75, and we'd been there for like 2 hours.
Wow, that's like cheaper than a regular massage. Holy shit.
So it was, I pay ID'd her to the establishment for 2 hours. But yeah, so then I was dressed and I was leaving, and she walked me down the stairs, and we had like one last kiss on the stairs. Oh, because we've been kissing throughout too. Like
gotcha.
pretty sort of like there was no like deep kisses.
Okay.
And she kissed me at the doorway, and she was like, "I watch you till you home," and I was like, "I live like a fair way. I'll be walking for a while," and she's like, "I watch you," and I was like, "Okay," and like gave her the fingers and point,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
point at your eyes and point at them, and started walking, and like maybe every like 10 meters or so I'd check to see if she was still watching and like give her a wave, and yeah, like 20 meters, 30 meters, I look back and she just like her head stuck out of a doorway with like long black hair, like
Wow.
flowing in
Full
the night breeze.
service. She's just making you feel special.
And yeah, I just kept going until looking back I like couldn't see her anymore. I couldn't make out what was happening, and that I don't know if she was still there. And then I then went out to the junction and had a schooner.
Fuck, alright. Wow. That was a journey. Thanks for sharing. I don't even know what to say. She sounds like a fucking legend. I don't know where to go from here. I feel like I interjected with so many of my thoughts throughout the story that, I don't know. I feel like I've said everything I want to say.
You don't have any final reflections?
That was interesting because I guess with my background, the fact that I'm a woman, the fact that I've done like, I guess, little drips and drabs of, I guess, elements of sex work, and then that I know a lot of sex workers and I kind of talk to or listen to or whatever a lot of discussions from or with sex workers. However, all pretty much, English speaking, Anglo-Saxon kind of ones, so not massage parlour or Asian sex workers, I guess. I don't know what the flavour is with that, but I feel like I've heard a lot of sex workers kind of talk about just pretending to these kind of guileless, is that the word? Like, I don't know, these men, like whatever they have to kind of give them this experience that's basically a fantasy, and that the woman isn't actually genuinely feeling, and it's part of a performance or whatever. But then I guess I have also heard that sometimes, there's a genuine connection, and it's really refreshing when that happens, and it's like a lot of the time people who hire sex workers, sometimes they don't even want to have sex or come, they just want to chat or feel intimacy or closeness, or, have a particular need met, and that can be like coming from such a beautiful place and a genuine, earnest place. And so I just have always admired those sex workers that talk about some of their clients, they're just these beautiful people, usually men, who want some closeness, want some intimacy, treat them really, really respectfully, and it's really enjoyable for both parties, and that's it can be so reciprocal and beautiful, even though there's an exchange of money. And then I guess I've heard from other really jaded kind of sex workers that basically fucking hate men now because they've been treated so poorly, and they've seen the worst side of men, and they're just can't believe these fucking jokers think that I am actually enjoying myself or give a shit about them. So I'm just oh, who knows which category she fell in, although it sounds like it was quite a nice, refreshing time for her as well, given this sort of diverse clientele she would have to field, like you would have been a good one.
But it's got to be, I think, I'm splashing so much water over here.
Yeah.
It's got to be, I think, like there's definitely a spectrum, because I think that she would, even though in theory she hadn't been doing sex work for very long, and but like, you know, she's like had she's had a husband, she's had 4 kids with someone, she's been engaging with men her whole life as like a presumably straight woman, and I'd say that she would be jaded and would be wary of men, but like not at that place of not being able to kind of relate or something like that, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's what I think, because I think we were relating, you know.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, there was this amazing woman, I can't remember her name, she's a sex worker and a big activist in that space. I've been thinking about trying to get her on here. And she kind of talks about it. She's like, look, like, it doesn't have to be this whole new, like, wave of, like, pro-sex worker feminism that's like, sex work's so empowering, blah, blah. She's kind of like, I kind of take issue with that, because, like, as a full-service sex worker, I just feel like it's a fucking job. It doesn't have to be empowering. People, you know, she's like, janitors don't feel like their job's empowering and enjoyable. They don't need to see the beauty in every fucking client, you know, if it's like a doctor or whatever. Like, it's a job's a job, and like some days are good, some days are shit, some of your clients suck, some of them are like, you know, easier than others because they're like easy on the eye, or they're really polite, or like they're, you know, and at the end of the day, like, any job has its ups and downs and its pros and cons, and like, you know, sometimes feels rewarding and sometimes feels fucking shit. And so that's kind of how she, like, that was like, oh cool, that's like a pretty fucking real take on it.
Which feels like part of viewing it as real work too.
Yeah.
It's like, it's work in that it's not all about it being this transformative thing where, look what I'm doing, I'm really living my truth. Like, it's a fucking job, you got to pay your bills. Like,
yeah, and even if
work.
like, you know, like some friends of mine who do full service sex work, like, come really easily and like pretty much always orgasm in sessions with clients, but it's like, that doesn't mean they're having a fucking sick time and that they'd be happy to just not be paid for it because they're enjoying it so much. Like, it's still work. Like, they can kind of enjoy it and take what they can from it, whilst also being like, definitely pay me my money though, because like, I still wouldn't be having sex with strangers unless it was for money, you know? Like, so yeah, wow.
And you know, me being like pretty having a pretty addictive kind of personality, it was like, that was great, and like, and kind of, I feel like it in some ways satisfied a certain frustration that I feel sometimes a lot of the time, that it's hard to relieve, because like, I'm not always like sleeping with someone, or, you know, basically just sexual frustration. It was a release for sexual frustration, and I was like, I probably can't do this.
yeah, you'll get so hooked. Yeah. I did have a friend that did that.
Money. Like,
we had this friend who discovered going to see a sex worker and just being like, this is fucking amazing, like, oh my god, and then he just went every week, which, like, great, nothing wrong with it. And I love how, I mean, I've heard so many people kind of bring up the argument that, like, it's so much better to just go and pay someone explicitly and honestly, and both get something from that, and it's all clear and above board, get those needs met, you're not hurting anyone. In fact, you're patronizing their patron. How the fuck do you say that? You're a patron of their business. Anyway, you're giving them your patronage. That's what I wanted to say.
That's
you're giving them your patronage. And instead of just fucking trying to find someone on Tinder and then pretending that you are going to see them again and fucking buying them dinner or something or some drinks to try to, like, get them loosey-goosey enough to have sex with you, and then fucking having to, like, you know, either kick them out or leave. Like there's all these ways that men behave so fucking poorly to get their dicks wet and just kind of, like, hurt or at the very least inconvenience women, you know, some of who don't want to be used for sex or one-night stands. Like, some people, there are literally men like that I've been hearing about lately. Like, as in, I know this happens, but, like, I've been hearing about it happening to women I know that have, like, been with men that have very, very actively deceived the women and said that they're interested in having children and they're, like, falling in love with them and they really want to, like, see them again and, like, saying all the right things, and then as soon as they did and he got what he wanted, he just ghosted. Like, and then, you know, that's pretty extreme, but there's a lot of men that'll just say that they're open to a relationship and they want to see you again and blah, 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 and act all keen and invested and, like, love bomby, and then will just disappear as soon as they have sex with you. And so, yeah, I feel like going and just seeing a sex worker is so much preferable and more ethical than doing that.
For those people, you know. For those people.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, and it's not like you would be deceiving someone to get them to have sex with you, but that would mean that you just might go, like, months without actually having any sex because you can't. You know, you've got to meet someone and then you've got to, like, kind of clear it with them that they're okay with having casual sex that's not leading anywhere because you don't want anything serious, blah, blah, blah. Whereas this, you can just go and do the thing.
Well, I suppose my point is that having that imperative to have sex and everything that might entail to you, like if it's physical intimacy, emotional intimacy, like whatever you're seeking in sex, that imperative to find sex, I guess it creates context for you to have real relationships with people. And so when I say real, I mean, like, relationships that with, like, longevity and, like, living together and, like, being together and only being with each other maybe.
Yeah.
Or at least prioritizing each other and whatever. And so as much as, like, employing the services of a sex worker probably generally mean less frustration, like stimulating an industry, like, you're pretty stoked, they're pretty stoked. It seems like quite net positive, and it totally is, but also needing intimacy and seeking that when you form bonds with people through sex and through the time that you spend investing in sleeping with them in the first place.
A lot of people fall in love with sex workers and, you know, like, it is this thing. It's definitely a thing. Yeah. We need to put more hot water in. I'm getting cold, and I feel like this conversation's probably run its course. How do you feel? Any closing thoughts? I feel like we've done a pretty good job of...
Well, I thought we were having a pretty robust discourse on our conjecture around what it must be like to be a sex worker.
Oh, you want to... Well, I need more hot water, and maybe we'll get the other Jozzy.
Excuse this quick interruption. I'm shamelessly seeking reviews and 5-star ratings for the poddy because, as I'm sure you've noticed by now, it's pretty fab, and the more people who get to hear it, the more people I can help with it. Reviews and ratings actually do make a big difference to this little independent podcaster, and it's really easy to just quickly show your support by taking that simple act of either leaving 5 stars for the show on Spotify, or even better, writing a written review and leaving 5 stars over on Apple Podcasts. Or if you're a real overachiever, you can do them both. That would be mad. If you're writing a review, though, just be sure to use G-rated words, because despite the fact that this is a podcast about sexuality, words like sex can be censored and your review won't make it through the gates. Lame. Anyway, I would personally recommend doing that right now while you remember, just to get on top of it and let me know you're with me on this journey. Thanks, gang. Enjoy the rest of the epi.
Oh my god, I need to get back in.
It'll be warm after the night. Yeah, jump in. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's. Oh, yeah, no. Oh, it's hot. Okay. It's hot. No more.
Cool. Good. Oh, we're all pissing and moaning about how it's not going to be hot enough.
Oh, it caught me off guard a little bit.
Oh, that's great. It's like it was at the start.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah.
Oh, whoa. I'm going to be dehydrated after this. I often get a headache after I've had a hot bath because I'm like fucking dehydrated.
Dehydrated.
I don't know, I've never said that before.
All right. Bath is hot again.
Whoa.
Josie number 2.
Yep. We're fucking on.
Let's fuck on. Well, if you wanted to talk about something else, do you want to tell a story about your home life and your like living situation?
Why?
Because I think it's interesting.
Why? What's interesting about it?
It's interesting. Not to say that it's like abnormal or anything. I'm just saying it's interesting. Like I want to hear about it. I'm interested in it. Well, I'd probably have to disclose specific information about your living experience to talk about it. And if
Well, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, it's not private or anything. I guess what was, because it's pretty cute. I guess I'm just self-conscious because I'm like, is it podcast worthy? And also, am I ready to, because I haven't actively hidden the fact that I've like, Locke and I have broken up and I'm back in Melbourne and all that, but I haven't like talked about it openly on the podcast, and so I don't want to even usually talk about where I'm living or what that sitch is, because like it's too personal, and I haven't been sharing a lot of personal stuff on the pod since breakup because it fucking broke me and I'm like still not okay. So I don't know. It feels like I guess because I was so public about that relationship as well, and I had podcast episodes with him on it and about it. It was just, I just felt like such a fucking fool when we broke up, and I was like, oh my god. Yeah, and so I haven't felt ready or able to talk about it at all on the podcast yet, which fucking, it sucks because the podcast is like my space for being authentic, and I often use examples from my life and sex life and relationship and stuff, or I did, and now I'm like, oh, I don't even like want to, because I got so burned by that and being public about my shit, and I don't know, I feel like really conflicted about it all, and I've been like, fuck, some of these listeners, I swear, I feel like family. They've listened to every single episode. They feel like they know me. They were really into the relationship and Locke, and like I'd get messages a lot about that, and I just feel like,
hey, me again. If you'd like to support the poddy and you've already given it 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening on, I want to mention that you can buy some really dope merch from the website and get yourself a Labia Lounge tote, tee, togs. Yep, you heard that right. I even have Labia Lounge bathers. Or a cute fanny pack if that'd blow your hair back. So if fashion isn't your passion though, you can donate to my Buy Me a Coffee donation page, which is actually called Buy Me a Soy Chai Latte, because I'll be the first to admit I'm a bit of a Melbourne cafe tosser like that. And yes, that is my coffee order. You can do a once-off donation or an ongoing membership and sponsor me for as little as 3 fat ones a month. And I also offer one-on-one coaching and online courses that'll help you level up your sex life and relationship with yourself and others in a really big way. So every bit helps, because it ain't cheap to put out a sweet podcast into the world every week out of my own pocket. So I will be undyingly grateful if you support me and my biz financially in any of these ways. And if you like, I'll even give you a mental BJ with my mind from the lounge itself. Saucy. And I'll pop the links in the show notes. Thank you. Later.
is it recording?
Yeah.
Okay, fuck. Well, where was I? God damn.
You were saying how...
Yeah, I don't know when it cut off, but I live with a absolute fucking badass legend of a single mama who'd become a single mum just before I moved in, and it was obviously a pretty a bit of a risk for both of us, like how's this going to be, moving in with a stranger and there being a kid in the mix and stuff, and yeah, but it's just like so incredibly wholesome and sweet, and like I'm Auntie Freya. Well, I probably shouldn't say her name, but the little girl I live with.
Give her a pseudonym so we don't have to.
Oh, can't be fucked.
Winnie.
No, I can't. That's more confusing. The 3-year-old that I live with is such a fucking queen. And apparently the other day she said to her mum that I was her other mum, or like her second mum or something. I know, it's so cute. So it's a really wholesome, cute little arrangement, and for my like broken soul, it's like quite
How long have you been there for?
medicinal now. Like 6 months. Or something. Yeah, and it's just somehow magically worked out really well for all involved, and it's really sweet. But yeah, I guess I've been like hesitant to talk about it because that would mean being open and having to address the fact that I'm not with Lockie anymore, and but it's also felt so, yeah, it's been this thing that's conflicted me for ages because yeah, I feel like I really like being very real and authentic on the podcast and sharing like quite a personal side of myself and my life, but I've felt like weirdly caught in this place of feeling inauthentic because I'm not sharing big chunks, but also kind of grappling with the idea that like, hang on, I don't owe anyone anything, I don't owe my audience anything, I don't have to be so public about. So like a lot of people, especially sex coaches and things, don't ever post about their partners or share certain elements of their personal life or their sex life, and that's like a kind of a boundary that they have in place to kind of manage their relationship with social media and their business and whatever. And there's a fucking good reason a lot of people choose to keep that side of their life private, because I have just suffered the ramifications of shit blowing up and then feeling really fucked up about it, and then yeah, just having to kind of avoid the topic a bit on the podcast, and all the while feeling inauthentic and like it's not this kind of like, it hasn't been this like joyous thing where I just get to like share anecdotes from my life and be really like open about everything. It's been a bit of a thing to navigate, and I've been fucking struggling a bit with that. So I guess I think I've come to the conclusion, well, I had until now, and fuck, if I publish this episode then I guess that's going against this, but I'd sort of thought, I don't have to share, like, I don't owe anyone anything or any information about my life, and so I'm going to just sort of be a little bit more discerning in the future about how much I share, and just really focus on like the educational stuff and like what I can kind of do a good job of, and while still giving value and whatever. And I kind of hoped this sort of some mood would one day strike me, or the situation would present itself. Perhaps this is it, where it did feel okay and authentic to talk about it to a degree that I can feel comfortable with and not be in complete agony, because it's still all completely torturous to think about and be in, and I'm in it. I think that's like, I was like, maybe one day when I'm feeling good again and I'm like, fuck, you know, in a healthy relationship in the future, I'll like talk about what happened there, but I haven't been ready, and it's been like over a year now, so anyway, so that's what I got to say about that. It's been a trip.
Yeah, I feel like for me, talking like beyond whether it's beyond the social ramifications or whether it's like quote unquote appropriate or like whatever, like talking about those intimate details, or I don't know, just making things public, I feel like regardless of what effect it has, it just takes things that some things are more, it feels almost like their privacy is sacred or something.
Yeah.
Where you preserve the sacredness of it by not talking about it.
Yeah. It's a tough one, because like my whole fucking brand is being authentic and being really transparent, talking about the TMI stuff that people don't talk about. But I think the thing is, like, yeah, you don't want to talk about it while it's still so fresh that you're in it and you're a fucking mess, because it's also my business, and, you know, I don't want people to think I'm not able to still serve them with my offerings and what I do. And, you know, it's like a fine line between just airing your dirty laundry and being, like, overly vulnerable in a public forum and being, like, relatably authentic. I want it to be relatably authentic and for people to be like, cool, that was, like, vulnerable, but it wasn't too fucking much, and I'm not like, oh my god, it's Freya, like, okay.
But how authentic can it be if you're curating your authenticity?
I know, but I think that's why I was waiting until I was in a place where I could even talk about it with any kind of openness and without bawling my eyes out. So, yeah. So anyway, that's why I was hesitant to talk about my home life, because it's sort of been off limits for a while now. Yeah.
How do you feel now that you've mentioned it? You brought it out.
I don't know, it feels vulnerable. I feel like I'll have a vulnerability hangover if I do publish this episode. It'll really, I mean, the only reason I would is because I do feel like the portion of my audience that listens to these sorts of episodes, and gets all the way to the end, like this kind of thing, are like, they're really with me, you know. They're the people that, oh fuck, actually, there's this amazing, I've been meaning to give her a shout out. There's this amazing woman in the States who I've never met, who just got in touch out of the blue and was like, your podcast has literally changed my life. It saved my relationship. It's done all the, like, she wrote all of these glowing things, and I was like, what? And then she just was like, how can I support you? And just put, like, the most money anyone's ever put into my Patreon out of nowhere. And, like, I've had, like, maybe 4 people or 5 people ever in the 3 years I've had the podcast and the Patreon, like, donate to it. And so I was just so like, oh my god, that never happens. And I was like, what? And just her support and her love and her, like, you know. And then the people that I bumped into at that play party that came up and were like, oh my god, like, your podcast, you know, has been so game changing and we just adore you and I've listened to every episode and I feel like I know you. Like, I get that a bit where people feel like they know me. So I just feel like those are the people that this kind of episode is for, and those are the people that I was feeling guilty about not being as honest and authentic about all of this with. I've lost my, that was a long sentence, I can't remember how I started it and how to wrap it up.
No, I followed.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I don't know. Like, those are the people that make this worth it, like, doing the podcast in general and stuff. And yeah, I feel like it's like, you're a human, I'm a human, we're all in this fucking shit together. Life's really hard, love's hard. Like, yeah, so maybe that's cool. Maybe I can publish just knowing that, like, you know, the sort of people that aren't here for it, they're not going to get this far and they're not going to listen to this anyway. Yeah.
And, like, what do you want to do? Like, those people, they listen to you and things you've said have meant a lot to them. And they care about your life, and your life is, you know, and what are you going to do? Present this falsified version to them because you don't want to disappoint them.
Yeah.
Well,
I've been careful not to do that. I've definitely mentioned that I'm having a tough one, but I haven't. Yeah. And I guess people have figured it out by now, you know, with my content and stuff. But yeah. Yeah, I guess this is, yeah. You're right. What? So fuck. Maybe I should just put this one out there. To the diehards and the listeners that have now become my friends. Like, actually, a few listeners, like, who I have bumped into, or, you know, your friends that I hadn't known that listen to the podcast, that are now my friends, because, like, they've just been picking up what I'm putting down, and it's like, oh my god, it's so nice. It's so nice. So, you know. This is for you guys. I feel like a wanker who has some, like, delusional sense of grandiose right now, but, like, yeah.
I feel like you've been appropriately self-abasing.
Okay, cool.
You're like, no one gives a shit about my product, but, like, 3 people who really care and they mean a lot to me.
Yeah, and then...
You're not tooting your own horn, like, you know.
And actually, that's that's kind of, I think I've had a lot of fear around going this, like being this vulnerable and tackling this on the podcast because I haven't been feeling good. I've been very fragile, so I've been fucking terrified of like doing this. And, you know, when you put it that way, it's like, you know, hardly anyone fucking listens to this, and the people that do, I do really care about because they probably care at least a little bit about me, even if they've never met me. They're invested enough to stick along with, you know, this whole conversation at least. And yeah, fuck, like, stoked. Like, I feel like this isn't as scary or vulnerable when I think about it that way. It's like just probably a room of like people that are empathetic and caring towards me and my work.
And I feel like it's true to your vision for your podcast as well, which is to present something warts and all. And these are the warts.
These are the warts. Yeah, totally. Fuck. Feels good. Yeah, because it has fucking felt totally inauthentic to be, because I haven't been like, I'm great, but I've still been trying to release content, and people will get in touch and be like, oh my god, you look like you're killing it, like having so much fun in Melbourne. And I'm like, no, I cry in bed every single day and I'm just like having the worst time of my entire life. And I have like heaps of Netflix, crocheting socks for fucking people that have supported me. Yeah, people that have supported me through the breakup, I was gonna say. So I've crocheted socks for my nearest and dearest. Lots of breakup socks. I'm still fucking crocheting every night. And and I've got something called complex and prolonged grief disorder, and it's fucked. So yeah, it's been this funny thing where people are seeing my content and thinking everything's peachy, and that's not the case at all, and it hasn't felt very authentic. So yeah, I guess this is my confession. That's when I thought I said, I thought you were going to join in with me, no?
I know the song.
Oh my god,
no,
Usher.
Go on.
I'm totally not going to sing. This is my confession, just when I thought I said all I could. Magic on the side, so she got one on the way. So my confession. No, haven't heard it?
Oh, I don't know.
Can't believe I wouldn't have played it to you in the past. I was a big Usher fan.
Probably have.
Oh. Anyway, not relevant at all because that's talking about someone knocking up somebody else. Usher, what a player. Super misogynistic song, actually, as most of them were back then. Anyway, cool. I reckon that's a wrap. I think this is going to be drivel from here on out. I feel exhausted from such a vulnerable share. But thank you for eliciting that unexpectedly and holding space.
Can I be credited as a co-producer on your podcast?
Sure. Well, I mean, you made the jingles and everything, so you're something.
I haven't put that on my resume.
Dude.
Oh, what the fuck?
What the fuck? Get it on there. Man, there's this jingle or like intro theme song. It's a theme song for this podcast that I listen to called Mr. Pick Me and the Man Hater, and it's fucking great. And they have the best fucking intro theme song. It's so baller. It's like such a jam, and I was really disappointed to find out that it's not actually it's not a hip-hop song that I can listen to on Spotify. Like, it sounds so legit. It's just this little portion. And I looked it up and I tried to find it everywhere, and it's just like this really low-key like rapper guy that looks like he's only just started. Like, he hasn't released any music. He's like just got a couple of tiles on his Instagram account, and he's like, you know, it's kind of in the making. And he must be a mate of theirs that's like made the jingle, and it's so good. It's like, if that was a song, I'd fucking listen to that. Like, I want to Shazam that shit. Yeah. Oh, I don't have my phone on me right now. Do you want me to get it?
You can be fucked.
Okay. My phone's also about to die, but we'll give it a crack. I wonder if it would be copyright if I like tried to play it.
Maybe it would just be like free advertising. It would be like,
well, that's what I would like to think.
It's just like a shout out.
Fuck knows. Okay, get ready.
Want to prove their manhood in unusual ways. And I don't want to say what that way is.
We're talking about men raw dogging flights today. Theme song.
You want bad advice, man? I'll give it out glad. I got some good advice for you. advice for you. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. Shit.
How good's that?
That's so good.
It's so catchy. No, you
amazing.
don't. I got some good advice for you. No, you don't. Like, yes. Love that. Love that. Anyway, what's his fucking name? I had to Google it and shit. Like, who did the theme song? Odanis the rapper. Odanis the rapper, yeah. But he's got nothing online yet, so can't listen to him other than that theme song, which I always jam out to.
I want to talk about something else.
Alright, done. Fuck! Alright. Cool. Are we done recording? I'm pretty ready to just have a regular old catch up and like talk about bullets.
You have to stop recording to so that we can enter into that.
I think so.
Space.
Otherwise, yeah, you're just always slightly conscious that
It's
it
always
could
a
be
little
turned
bit
into content.
Yeah.
And that's it, darling hearts. Thanks for stopping by the Labia Lounge. Your bum groove in the couch will be right where you left it, just waiting for you to sink back in for some more double L action next time. If you'd be a dear and subscribe, share this episode, or leave a review on iTunes, then you can pat yourself on the snatch because that's a downright act of sex-positive feminist activism, and you'd be supporting my vision to educate, empower, demystify and destigmatize with this here podcast. I'm also always open to feedback, topic ideas that you'd love to hear covered, questions or guest suggestions, so feel free to get in touch via my website or over on Insta. You can also send me in TMI stories to be shared anonymously on the pod. My handle is FreyaGraf_the Labia Lounge, if my account hasn't been deleted for being too sex positive, which, is always a possibility with censorship. But just in case the chronic censorship finally does obliterate my social channels, I'd highly recommend going and joining my mailing list and snagging yourself some fun freebies for the trouble at www.freyagraf.com/freebies. Anyway, later, Labial Legends. See you next time.